Welcome back to the Balance and Barbells podcast. I'm your host, Kayla Dirk, and today we're going to be talking about how to fit fitness and nutrition into your life, especially when you feel like you have no time. This is a big complaint that I hear a lot about not having enough time to do anything that you want to do in order to reach your fitness and nutrition goals and feeling like you have to pick one or the other. And I want to give you some strategies that you can apply that you can start using today and ways that you can incorporate into your life. Now, I talked a lot about meal prep and how to actually do a condensed meal prep in the last episode. So if you're really struggling with nutrition, that's a great episode to listen to as well. But I want to talk about just structure in your routine today and talking about how you can incorporate different things to give you a routine and some consistency. Because especially if you're on the end where you're not doing a lot with your fitness, you're not working out enough, you're not getting enough steps in, and you're not focusing on your nutrition, we're kind of working on a scale of not doing enough and trying to do too much. And I think you need to kind of change your perspective and your mindset around how much you need to be doing and give yourself realistic baby steps. That's the first action item you need to be looking at is where are you having some bad habits right now that are either eating up your time or not as productive? And how can you shift your focus and make sure that you're having stronger habits that you can rely on? And I would honestly say that when you are running out of time, not necessarily your fault. You cannot control how busy your work life is. You cannot control how busy everything outside of your life is necessarily, but you can control how you react to it and you can control how you plan your day. That is up to you, how you use your time and how you utilize your time. And if you have a busy work day, I would recommend that you're not planning a 2-hour workout at the same time or on the same day. I would be structuring your week in a different capacity. So I think it's really important that one, you're analyzing what your week looks like, what your time looks like, and where you're divvying up your time and doing a life audit of analyzing where you spend your most time, where you spend your work time, where you spend your free time, what your commute time looks like, and how that's eating up your week and where the consistencies are in that. If you don't have that information, you're really winging it and you don't really know how you can fix the problem, right? We're just looking at the problem itself and there's no solution. So you need to analyze that first and have that life audit completed so that you know what you can do from here. Because unless you have those answers, you're not going to be able to really make those changes. And it's going to be a lot of winging it. And you're going to feel like you're not able to keep your promises to yourself. And it's an endless cycle of just being frustrated because you're not getting the results and you don't have the time and it's defeating. So I want to get you out of that. And the best way we can do that is by focusing on how we can shift what we can control and focusing our attention to the aspects of what we can control instead of stressing about the things we can't control. You can't control how long you have to be at work. You can't control if you have endless meetings added to your calendar, but you can control when you wake up, when you go to bed, and what you do with your free time, right? Those are all inside of your control. So when you have long working hours and there are things that come up that maybe prevent you from taking action, you need to figure out how you can control the rest of your week. Maybe you planned a workout today and the day got crazy and you weren't able to make it, but did you move your workout to another day? Did you control the aspect of today was missed and the day got away from you? And now you're taking your ability to control your life and move your workout to a day that now can work at a different day. You need to have kind of that evaluation. Bigger than that, and probably the first step is analyzing what your bigger goal is. We talk about this a lot on the podcast. What is your goal? If you don't have that identified in a SMART goal, a specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound goal, that's going to tell you what you're going to accomplish in a timeline that you can measure and that is attainable for you, you are not going to be able to achieve that goal because you don't have the goal analyzed, you don't have it written down, and you don't know how you're going to achieve it. You might not need all the answers right now, but you need to have the understanding of what that goal is and what you can realistically achieve so that you can build out habits that are going to make it sustainable. This is one of the biggest things that you need in your routine is daily small habits. And I'm going to break this down to you. So instead of feeling like you have to have 17 habits in a day or spending 3 to 4 hours on fitness every single day, we're going to condense that into an option for 30 minutes, into 60 minutes, and even 90 minutes, and making it so that fitness and nutrition really only takes up 3 to 4 hours of your week versus taking up so much time every single day. And a lot of that time that people don't really account for is the mental capacity that it takes up in your headspace because you're so stressed about getting it done. You don't have a plan or an action plan that you can follow and you don't know what to do and you're just winging it and it's stressing you out and you're always thinking about how you're going to do it and how you're always going to fit it in and then you don't fit it in and you're defeated and it's an endless cycle. So what I want you to first do is that life audit. Then I want you to get really, really specific about what you want to accomplish. Are you wanting to lose weight? Are you wanting to build muscle mass? And how are you going to do that? What is the timeline you're giving yourself to accomplish that goal? What are you going to be doing on a weekly basis so that you can accomplish that goal? Do you have access to a gym? Are you going to be working out at home? You need to get specific about that goal and understand what you're trying to accomplish. Then we're going to break down the plan so it's more realistic for you. And this is what I do every single day. My entire goal is to give you a transformational plan so that you have that plan figured out for you and you take that mental space away from you. So if that's something that you don't even want to do, like, I'm here to support you. That's what I want to do and I want to help you do. And I want to help you reach that goal. So if that's something that you want, that's definitely available for you. If you want to build it out yourself and you want to know how you're going to accomplish it, you need to understand that goal. You need to have it in a SMART goal status. You need to understand the audit of your life. Where is your time being eaten up? Where are your bad habits? What does your daily life look like? What does your weekly life look like? And where do you have control that you're not taking action on? Where are you losing control and letting chaos drive the day, where you have more control than you are actually giving yourself? And a lot of times this comes with social media and scrolling. I see this one a lot, especially at night, like wanting to decompress, and scrolling becomes a bad habit. It's something that keeps you up late, makes you miss your alarm clock, and it also eats up time that you could be using for other things. So that's a big one. But there's also ones of not prepping your food and not getting enough things at the grocery store. And then you're spending your time in your drive-through or trying to figure out what you're going to eat and ordering pickup and getting takeout and going to restaurants. And that is a time in and of itself as well. And then how does your nutrition look? Do you have bad habits around your nutrition where you restrict all day and you don't have enough food for the day, then you're starving and you binge at night? Those are things that are going to have bad habits that have a cause and effect. And you want to try and replace those with better habits. How can you control what is happening so that bad habit isn't so easy to give into? And how can you make that a more good habit? Or how can you have a habit in your day that's going to help you be more consistent? So let's talk first about the scrolling one. This is a big one, like I said, that I hear a lot. I think that you should have some guidelines around when you use your phone. There are a lot of apps now that can lock your phone or your apps that maybe you get stuck on, like TikTok or Instagram, and so that you're not opening them at certain times of the night. But I also think that you should have a time at night, at least an hour before bed, where you're shutting that off and you're focusing on trying to get rest. And if you're noticing, for example, you come home, you sit on the couch and you scroll and then you don't do anything until the rest of the night, that is what I would consider a bad habit and time wasting, because you are using that as a time to decompress, but you're not productive enough or focused on the things that are going to move the needle forward. So if you're home and you're not paying attention to setting up your day for tomorrow, making sure that you have your food prepped, maybe doing a load of laundry, like these are things that maybe won't take that long, but you're putting off and procrastinating and you're resting and not paying attention to the future you, right? And there needs to be some boundaries. And I think that it doesn't mean you have to eliminate it and be restrictive, but there should be more boundaries around it. And you should have good habits with it, whether that is limiting the time you're on it or limiting the window of time that you're going to be able to do so before you get up. And I set reminders on my phone for this. I recommend that you set alarms on your phone. You could even just do a timer. Like the second you open up Instagram, set a timer for 30 minutes. And then when that goes off, turn off your phone and move on to your next activity. So you're just not time wasting and you're being more in control of the actions that you're taking every single day. Now for nutrition, a big one that I see is not prepping enough food in advance and then not having enough food. Either you're skipping meals or you're going out and getting takeout and you have no control over that. And what I really want you to be aware of when it comes to your nutrition is there are sacrifices you have to make in order to hit a nutrition goal. It doesn't just naturally happen for most people. You need to have protein sources. You need to have vegetable and fruit sources that are prepped and ready to go and easy choices in the moment that it's hard to make that decision. For example, when you're hungry or when you're emotional or when it's a natural eating time. If you don't have those things ready to go, you're more likely to make the easier choice because your brain is wired that way. So you want to make sure that you have things ready to go, whether that is pre-cooked options, things that are just going to be staples in the fridge. And let me just give you a few for that. Rotisserie chicken, tuna packets, chicken packets, frozen potatoes, frozen rice, frozen fruits and vegetables. There's so many ways to throw together really quick meals with staples that are already prepped and ready to go and require no cooking time from you. You can throw together salads. There's pre-washed salad packets. There's so many different things that you can throw together without prep time. It just is a matter of you kind of like planning ahead and thinking about how you're going to have the groceries in your fridge, have them ready to go, either do a drive up on the way home, but just making sure that you have a good routine so that it works for your life. And only you can answer that for you unless you're working with me and we're working side by side and kind of building that plan out for you. But if you're handling it on your own, only you can kind of answer how you're going to overcome that and build that out. But it is a matter of pre-planning, because if you're just leaving it up to winging it and hoping that it works out, more than likely you're not going to be successful with that, or at least not most days, because motivation will be high some days and it's going to be really low the next few days. It's going to be really low other days. So you want to make sure that you have a good plan for that. And so that's one of the best ways you can ensure that you have a good plan with your nutrition, is by making sure that you are focusing on some sort of pre-planning routine and giving yourself consistency in knowing what your meals are going to look like and how you're going to hit those nutrition goals. Even if it's just simple meals, it doesn't mean that you have to be making anything crazy, that you have to be following recipes and cooking all the time, but making sure that you have a good plan and a good idea of what you're going to be eating before the moment you're hungry. And the biggest pain point that I hear when it comes to, I don't have enough time in my day to hit all my nutrition goals or my fitness goals, I need you to understand that you don't need more time in your day to accomplish these things. You need better repeatable systems. You need things that are designed around your lifestyle, that are designed around your goal and designed around the outcome you want, but also designed around what's going to fit for you. If you are a busy lawyer who is in meetings all the time, who doesn't have time to cook all of her meals, maybe you need to look into meal services and have your meals delivered and do like macro or factor meals, and making sure that you have things ready to go, or just making sure you have good staples when it comes to going grocery shopping. There are pre-cooked options now that make it so easy to have meals that are ready to go and that are in your fridge. But there are also ways to make really simple prep so that you can keep meals in your fridge or ingredients in your fridge so you can make meals quickly. But it does require you to figure out a time where you are able to kind of prep these things in. Sure, your days are busy, but if your day is busy and you didn't account for that on a day that wasn't as busy, and that is your lack of having a repeatable system that you can emulate and make sure that you have different systems for. And I think that there are different systems for each day. I think people get carried away with having a routine and then feeling like they can be on their routine and off their routine. And the real problem is they're trying to fit everything in their life into one routine. And I really think you need 4 to maybe 5 different routines that you can put into play no matter what kind of day you're having. And everyone's going to have different one of these. And I'll give you an example of what mine kind of look like. I have a very high functioning routine where I know I have a lot of time. This could be more of a downtime day where I don't have a lot of meetings. I'm able to focus on my training, and I'm able to focus on maybe getting in more steps, meal prepping, and kind of setting myself up for the week. This for me is a Sunday, and my routine is much different than my Monday routine, because Monday is my meeting day. I'm usually sitting at my desk from the hours of even 6 a.m. till 7 p.m. I do group coaching, I do client coaching, I do discovery calls, and I make sure my clients are set up for the week. So oftentimes I am eating in windows of like 5 to 10 minutes, or I have windows of 5 to 10 minutes to throw together quick meals. And my workout has to be either completed right away or over lunch. And I have a very short window of when I complete that workout. So this isn't going to be my longest workout day. I'm not going to be necessarily aiming for my highest amount of steps that day. And I'm not going to be trying to make a bunch of meals, go grocery shopping, and fit everything in. If I did that, I would fail regularly. And one of the things I learned is if I didn't have lunch ready to go on a Monday, I would skip my meals and I would find myself starving by like 4 p.m. and I could barely make it through my last meeting. So what I had to do is start finding time where I could front load the prep time, the grocery shopping time, and ensure that I had meals ready to go so that I could go boom, boom, boom. And that is my habits and my repeatable system for Mondays. And I know that in advance and I plan around that and I control what I can. Maybe my lunch isn't my most favorite lunch on a Monday because I'm microwaving rice or chicken or sweet potato and I'm just throwing something together really quickly. But I'm also controlling if I really didn't like that one week because I didn't have enough staples, then Sunday I know I'm prepping things out so that I don't have that environment again and I can still throw together a delicious meal in 5 minutes because I did the front loading time of it and I controlled what I could at a time when I had more time. My next routine is maybe the in between where I have a little bit more time, but I don't have the most time in the world. So I'm still getting in a decent workout. I'm still going to be making some meals. Maybe I have a little bit more time to make a dinner and I'm going to batch cook at that time so that I can have some extra leftovers for the rest of the week. But I know that I have some time throughout the day where I can structure my walk, my workout, my meals, but I don't necessarily have as much time. And then my next routine is maybe one when I'm on my cycle or when I'm not feeling as energized. And even if I do have time, I just know that I'm not going to show up as my best self. And I needed something that's going to be a little bit more soothing or a little bit more relaxing and that's not going to drain me. And those are my 4 core routines. And I know what they are. They're repeatable, they're habitual, and I know what to kind of do when those things come because now I have the idea, I've done the audit, I know what my life is going to look like, and I know what my day is going to look like. And I I change my routine around that and I follow the repeatable systems that are going to allow me to be consistent at a point when I know I'm going to need my habits and my routine to keep me consistent versus hoping that I wake up in my best mood. And if I don't, then I just say screw it and move on with the day. I then am instead planning for how I can set myself up for success and ensure that I have a routine that I can just be like, I need to check these 3 things off today and I'll be in a good spot. Even if this is all I can give, that will be my 100%, even though that's 20% on maybe my high functioning day. That's kind of a process you have to work through, or you and your coach have to work through and determine what your habits should look like. I have several clients who have a very good structure during the week, but then when the weekends come and they have no idea how to eat because they want to go out, they want to have fun, and they're so restrictive during the work week that when that comes, they get in an on-off cycle. So we have to have a good routine for them to follow on the weekend that still allows them to have fun, that allows them to have balance, but also causes them to have a different routine and different structure because they're not in the 8 to 5. They're not doing the same things that they would do Monday through Friday. And that routine will fall out of cycle because they're not in that same routine. They need repeatable systems for Saturday and Sunday because they look different. And I think that's true of anybody's routine. You need to have several different ones you lean on and building those repeatable systems and habits that you can rely on to keep you consistent. So here are some things we want you to start focusing on in order to kind of build these systems for yourself. First, we need to look at a mindset shift and we need to be looking at the things that are keeping you stuck. Is it an all or nothing mindset? Is it not enough small and repeatable habits that you have throughout the day? Are you looking at adding 2 hour activities in, really long workouts, long meal prep, and just not feeling like you have enough time and you don't have the right systems and structure to keep you consistent? Are you stuck in the mindset of always being perfect when you do things, and when it's not perfect, you kind of give up or you don't follow through with the plan like you normally would? We need to figure out kind of like what that pain point is for you. And this is in my transformation roadmap. It's like a diagnostic tool that goes through what is your pain point? What are you struggling with? What's keeping you stuck? So I highly recommend that. That's completely free. It's in the show notes. It allows you kind of work through you specifically, what you're struggling with, and kind of figure out what you need to focus on the most. Then we need to look at your fitness and understand what part of your fitness feels the most taxing. Does it feel sustainable? Is it something you enjoy? And how are you incorporating it into your routine so it can be consistent? I see a lot of women get carried away with, I don't have enough time because they're trying to work out 6 days a week. And I think that you can waste a lot of time focusing on fitness and focusing on activity versus focusing on structure and strategy. Why are you doing the exercises you're doing? Why are you doing the workouts you're doing? We're not just looking to burn a certain amount of calories on a fitness tracker. And if that's what you're tracking, you're looking at the wrong metrics. If you want to lose weight, we want to make sure that you are in a place where you are maintaining and building muscle mass through strength training, but that you also have enough cardio in there, that you have a good split with your deficit, and that you're not always relying on just nutrition to be your deficit asset, and that you're not taking away from getting enough from the nutrition and the fitness in a good balance. You have to kind of have a good balance of the two. But you want to make sure you have a good split there. That can still be 3 to 4 days a week where you're focusing on a 30-minute lifting session and then a 10 to 20-minute cardio session 2 to 3 times a week. We want 3 days of lifting, 2 to 3 days of cardio, and that's going to give you a really good split where you can still be in a deficit and you can do those at the same time. Maybe you have 30 to 40 minutes where you can do cardio in the same day and you can do 3 days on, or you can get your cardio through walking and you don't have to add in that extra cardio. So maybe you're just doing a 3-day lifting split and then we're using our steps throughout the week to add in our deficit. There's ways to do it that are structured and strategic where you're not spending 2 hours in the gym. And if you are spending 2 hours in the gym, I would love to know what you're doing and where you're spending your time, because that is something that I feel like could be wasted effort if you're not doing it properly and if you're doing it too many days a week. So you want to have that structure where you're getting in your workouts. And if this is something where you already feel like you don't have enough time with workouts, I highly suggest that you set a timer and you start your workout when scheduled and do 10 minutes to start, because first of all, 10 minutes is better than no minutes. A lot of times I use this analogy with my clients. An object that is stagnant is going to stay stagnant. An object in motion is going to stay in motion. So we just need to get you to that momentum. And once you start getting movement, it's much easier to keep doing movement. Sometimes you're going to hit that 10-minute mark on your timer and you say, I'm done. I don't have time to work out. And that's okay. Now we got in 10 minutes, right? That's better than nothing. Other times you're going to realize that wasn't so hard. It was just a matter of me getting to that point, and now I don't want to stop and I'm going to finish my workout. So sometimes it's just a matter of getting us into action more so than it is anything else, because that procrastination aspect of I don't have enough time or I feel really stressed. And we just need to kind of get you into that momentum. So that's the biggest thing that I would recommend. Now, when it comes to getting steps in, this is where I also hear a lot of complaints about not having enough time. Habit stack these. Two of the biggest habits that you can add into your routine that will change your step game. Making sure that you are doing things like if you're going to call somebody, if you have a meeting that you're going to just be taking from the phone, go and get your steps in at the same time. Make it a walking meeting, making a walking phone call, whatever you can to do to be a little bit more active. If you have a treadmill or a walking pad at home, watch your TV shows or scroll on your phone or any of your downtime that you're going to be doing, reading a book, whatever it is, and do that on the treadmill to get your steps in. You don't have to go at a crazy pace. You can walk at a slow pace, but just make sure that you're being active and habit stacking the things you're already going to be doing in your free time. The other aspect is habit stacking after your meals. You should be taking 5 to 10 minutes after your meals or when you have the opportunity to go for quick walks. It's a good mental break. It's good for kind of resetting your system and just making sure that your brain is working really well. So when you're taking those breaks, go for a walk instead of maybe sitting and scrolling on your phone. Be really aware of the times that you take maybe a mental break throughout the day and you find yourself scrolling or you find yourself doing something that you could be a little bit more active. And I always say to my clients, time stack this with your lunches and your meals because you're already at a point where you're maybe taking a break. And if you're doing that, go for a walk for 5 to 10 minutes after each meal. That's going to help with your blood glucose levels, but it's also going to help with your digestion and you're going to get your steps up. So that's a great way to habit stack it in. Now, for your nutrition, this again is a big pain point, but here are some core areas you can pay attention to with your nutrition and eliminate the time that it takes to pay attention to your nutrition or add time for prep in your nutrition and still be hitting the core factors. The first is anchor meals. I want you to have 1 to 2 go-to breakfasts and lunches that are going to be your anchor meals when you're super busy, that don't take a lot of time to prep, and that you can batch prep ahead of time, whether that is making several meals at dinner time and having leftovers, it's making a quick meal prep on the weekend, but it gives you quick options that you can rely on and that you don't have to stress about and you can repeat daily. That's going to eliminate the amount of prep time. Sometimes they can get boring, so make sure you have like different toppings, sauces, seasonings to spice it up. But use staples. Make sure that you're using things that you can repeat and that are easy to throw together really quickly. The next is batch prepping, making sure that you're getting your ingredients prepped ahead of time, whether that is going to the grocery store and getting pre-cooked items, frozen rices, frozen potatoes, pre-cooked meats, rotisserie chicken, things like that that are going to be easy to throw together for quick meals, and making sure that you're batch prepping them, throwing them on a sheet pan, making sure when you're making meals that you're cooking extras so that you have items ready to go and you're not constantly cooking. The cooking time and front loading that will drastically save you time throughout the week. It's going to eliminate the feeling of always having to cook and not choose healthy meals because you've already front loaded that time. And then I would always have grocery staples that are shortcuts in your meals, whether that's Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, frozen vegetables, frozen fruits, things that are easy, that are additions to your meals that make it so much easier to hit your macronutrients without prep time. So the biggest thing to remember with this is systems are going to save you time in the future, and what you can front load and what you can control is drastically going to impact the systems that you have, the consistency you have, the amount that it's repeatable, and how you can stick to the plan regardless of if you have time or not. And you get to kind of choose the days where you can add these in and you can make them as simple as possible. So I'll give you a few ways you can do that. You can do a Sunday reset for 30 to 60 minutes, whether that's doing a pickup of groceries, even if it's things that are pre-cooked, or focusing on meals that you can throw together on a sheet pan and making sure that you have real options that you can throw together and front load the time that you're going to have to prep throughout the week. If you think about it this way, instead of having to cook every single meal, the time that you spend maybe 30 to 90 minutes of prepping the meals and getting them ready to go is going to take away from the time that you have to focus on every time mealtime comes. So that's basically just going to be front loading the time. And sitting in the drive-thru, going to get takeout, those are all things that still take time. So that's going to eliminate that variable and give you a little bit more time back through the week. So you want to try and think about the times you can front load and what you can control there so that you can make sure that you can be consistent. The other aspect is scheduling your workouts. I highly recommend you look ahead at every single week and you find times for 30 to 60 minutes where you can schedule in your workout. The days that are going to be less chaotic, what days can you focus on time for you at the gym? When do you need to go? When's it going to fit in your schedule? And then also on top of that, planning in times where you can add 15 to 20 minutes of walk so you can be really intentional about getting your steps in. What really comes down to it is making sure you have a plan and a strategy that you can outline and you can see visually, because what happens is we can all find ourselves being preoccupied with time or chaos coming into the day and not having a good structure or plan and feeling like the day got away from us. And really what's happening is there's a lack of planning, there's a lack of systems, and it's leading us towards not having enough time, feeling overwhelmed, and letting chaos kind of dictate the direction we're going. So you need to have a good strategy for you and what works for your life and how busy you are, and finding ways to incorporate that into your routine so so you can be consistent and plan it out. Sunday should be a planning day where you're spending at least an hour of your day looking ahead at the week and figuring out what you're going to have for meals, what you're going to do for workouts, when it's going to fit in your schedule. This can take 30 minutes, this can take an hour. It just kind of depends on what works for you. And then you need to look at it day by day. Make sure at the end of the day that you've looked at your meals and seen where you were consistent, where you fell short, and how you can make different changes to be better the next day. And then plan things out for the next day. Because if you can have that plan for the next day, you're going to be much more consistent because now you're kind of looking ahead. Maybe you ran out of staples. Maybe you don't have your meal prepped. Maybe you're going to be going out for lunch. And now you can kind of use that time to not be stressed the next day when you don't have time. You can use that time to kind of plan ahead and have an idea and a picture of what to do. So you always have a plan to follow and you're not feeling like it's chaos and you don't really know what to do and trying to figure it out in the moment. That's where it often feels like you don't have enough time. So while you're kind of working through this, like I mentioned, I have that transformation roadmap to help you kind of diagnose where you're at, where you're struggling, what to do next. I highly recommend that you work through that because that will kind of help you analyze, and through the life audit we talked about in the beginning, where you feel like your time is being eaten up and not feeling like you need to have more time and get more time, but instead have better systems that allow you to not think about nutrition and fitness taking up your whole life, but finding ways to incorporate it weekly and having a good plan and strategy to kind of execute on that. So you're not constantly thinking about it. It's not constantly taking up that mental space and you're always feeling like you're running out of time because you're winging it and lacking a plan. If you want help with this, I have some coaching options listed in the show notes down below. I love to help women kind of work through this and build out your program to your lifestyle so that you can get your transformation. Like I said, that's listed in the show notes below. I'm only going to be taking a few more clients this year for this program. I have some other programs that I'll be releasing here with less support in the future, just because I'm going to have a full roster, but I wanted to release a few more spots before the end of the year to kind of help you take and execute on these in the next couple of months before we head into 2026. So you can find all that information in the show notes, and I will talk to you next week in the next episode.